Hello everyone, and today we're back into another top 5, and we're going to be ranking the top 5 typeless types in all of Loomian Legacy. Now, why the top 5 and not ranking all of them? It's because there are only 5 typeless type Loomians in the game if you don't count the pre-evolved form. So, yeah, it's a top 5. Let's head right onto this list because a lot of these typeless types are actually pretty good. Number 5 under this list is going to be obvious. It's going to be Servalin. It makes sense. Servalin is considered a top 10 worst Loomian in the game. And yeah, this thing isn't very good. Although, there are a couple things I do gotta say about it. It does have a solid speed stat. It does hit decently hard. I mean, it has the same melee attack stat as a Barok, which is nice, especially when you use the boast ability. But the problem is with Servalin, it can't drop. It can't run very brawny because it cannot drop any of its... It can't drop its speed, it can't drop its defenses because it really relies on it both. When with Barok, you can drop the ranged defense and this... You can drop the ranged defense and the ranged attack. With this thing, you kind of can't rely on that. So, it's very tough to actually use the boast Servalin. Not to mention that this thing cannot hit spirit types, like, at all. I mean, spirit types just straight up wall ya. So, Servalin does kind of suck. Although, the Vengeance Servalin is a little bit better, there are other Loomians like Revenine that can do it better, and that's why Servalin is the worst typeless type. I mean, it is alright, and it can be utilized well, but it's not very good. Number 4 onto this list is actually going to be Trumbull. Now, before we continue to list, number 2 through number 4 is actually extremely close to each other. So, yeah, the rankings might feel a little bit off, but Trumbull gets number 4 on the list. This is miles better than Servalin. Has a very high melee attack stat, and its speed stat is good enough. That's honestly probably Trumbull's biggest flaw, is that it only has a speed stat of 73. But it does have some really good coverage. I mean, it has Barok coverage with the addition of Rogue Assault. And Rogue Assault is really, really good. And while this thing cannot really hit spirit types that well neither, it does have Earthquake, which can hit them neutrally, which is nice. It has Mega Chomp to cause flinches, and it just hits a lot harder than Servalin, even without the boast boost. This thing also has Battle Horn and Stretch, so you can do some massive damage. It can be a good boots user. There's actually a lot going with Trumbull, and it's very good melee bulk-wise. You can even run a defensive Driving Force version. It will work very well as well. So, Trumbull is very solid. But it is lower than number 2 and number 3 because, you know, that 73 speed does make it drop a little bit. And there are a lot of melee tanks in the game that can wall it. So that's why it's only number 4. Number 3 onto the list is actually going to be Laracat. Yup, Laracat makes the top 3 on this list, and there are quite a few reasons. It actually has the highest speed stat out of any typeless type Loomian, which is awesome. It has an ability that increases its moves, like Resonate and like Ramp, which is awesome. I think it can also increase Headache Split, but I have to do some more research on that. This thing is amazing. You can put a Magnify, hypnotize the opposing Loomian, and then Headache Split your way to victory. If not, you can run Boom Bash to hit bug types, you can run Rant to destroy range attackers, and of course, Resonate can give you the +1. This doesn't hit as hard as Mootune, but since it's faster and it's easier to set up on, this thing is actually really good for the late game. Might be one of the best late game cleaners in the game, if you don't count Baneki and Arpaigo. This thing is surprisingly really scary, and especially if it gets a Hypnotize off, this thing can get free setup and then sweep your team. The only reason it's not higher is because, you know, its stats aren't the best. Besides its 101 speed, it doesn't have the best stats. You do need a couple Magnifies in order for Laracat to be effective. Thankfully, it is pretty easy to get those Magnifies off, and that's why Laracat is in the top 3. It's a very good typeless type. It's fast, hits solidly hard, and has decent coverage to boot. So yeah, Laracat. Number 3 onto this list. Number 2 onto the list is actually going to be Mootune. Mootune is extremely slow. Yes, it is extremely slow. But this thing hits extremely hard. Not to mention that it also has Gamma Pulse for those pesky spirit types. The other three typeless types Loomians we talked about already can't hit spirit types. you can hit them super effectively. Amazing. Raging Howl with Tone Deaf and 134 range attack can nuke Loomians. I don't care that this thing has slower speed. If you get nimble on this, you outspeed most tanks anyway. This thing is powerful. I mean, at +1, a Gamma Pulse beats a Mocho, which is really insane. It also one-shots a Phage Knot later in this clip. So yeah, in one of the later clips, it actually one-shots a Phage Knot, which is kind of insane to think about. And yes, I know that it's a melee tank and not a ranged tank, but it has a very high health stat. So it's just kind of insane to see a Mootune one-shot a Phage Knot. It can also do some major damage to ranged tanks as well. I've seen this thing two-shot Teraclaws and two-shot Venolins before, which is absolutely insane. It is one of the best range wall breakers in the game, and if it had better coverage, it would be so much better. But even then, it's still number 2 on the list. Number 1, and the best typeless type in all of Loomian Legacy is Terashino. I don't think there's any debate that Terashino is number 1. It has some amazing defenses. Only 2 weaknesses, and it has an ability called Enchanted Coat, so you're not even going to get hit that hard by it. Look at that bulk. 110 health, 94 melee defense, and 89 range defense. It is so good on both sides. It can soak pretty much any hit in the game. I've seen this thing live Specialization Metatoad hits. Specialization Metatoad hits. Not to mention that this might be one of the best bequeath users in the game. With Rageful Plushie, Stretch, and Bulk Up, this thing can be the best bequeath user in the game. Has Blind Spot Batter to hit Spirit types. It even has Megatron, so you have light and dark coverage. And we all know how good light and dark offensively is. And it hits solidly hard. After a Bulk Up, this thing can actually hit decently hard. And it also has Rejuvenate. This thing kind of has everything. And even though it doesn't have any resistances, the fact that it could soak so many hits, because its defenses and bulk is that high, makes Terashino the best typeless type by a long shot. I mean, it's living offensive Loomians hits. It's living Eclipse hits. It's living Terashino hits. It's living the Ludrix hits. And it's living Specialization hits from a Metatoad at full health. Of course, this thing is number 1. Of course, Terashino is the best typeless type in all of Loomian Legacy. And here it is, Terashino, the best typeless type in all of Loomian Legacy. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm actually kind of shocked, because a lot of people consider the typeless type to be one of the worst typings for these Loomians. But honestly, 4 of the 5 Loomians are actually really good in this game right now. So, this was kind of shocking to me. That will be the end of the video, and I'll see y'all all later. Bye-bye!